The hospital's exhibition rooms. In the Middle Ages, around the year 1200, there was a hospital inn at the bottom of the Benasque port, which was run by the Saint Juan from Jerusalem, ordered to help transit between Aragon and France. These hospitals at the bottom of the port were a kind of traveller's inn, coming from the word hospitality, giving walkers and other people the opportunity to stay and rest, as crossing the mountain passes involved great hardship. Towards the 16th century, the establishment became the property of the town of Benasque. Now we find ourselves in the year 1855, in the middle of the 19th century, and Mariano, one of the people from the hospital inn, is interested in conditions to release the hospital inn. He has a particular interest to renew the lease as he has made improvements and is full of enthusiasm to continue. The village sheriff reads the terms of lease to the crowd. Mariano, at already knowing the conditions, knew he could not leave the hospital. They had to remove the manure from the stables, the cost of the groceries, and to cross the routes by horses or cattle were marked by the town hall. They had to bury the bodies of travellers, maintain the access open, ensure that outsiders do not stay more than 3 nights except for illness or bad weather. Mariano is used to these conditions. He has many years' experience and he knows his work well. Finally, he makes his offer to the mayor, and to his pleasing he nods in agreement. The hospital inn will continue another 3 years under his care. The trade was hard, especially in winter, and sometimes the building was isolated until the following spring. With the onset of thawing, the mountain passes are busier. It is said that in snowy conditions, a minimum of 24 people were grouped to make the crossings in either direction for safety purposes. In the inns, police and smugglers, porters and soldiers, hunters and herders, traders and pilgrims had stayed and been attended to. Although there are various routes between France and Spain, the most used since the 17th century is Benasque Port or Portillon. Nowadays, it is more safe and secure. Maladetas can be seen from behind, and Mina Peak and Salvaguardia Peak can be observed. As the weather improves, Monsieur Maurice Gourdon arrives, a person who loves to portray the landscape with his camera. One day, sitting by a fire, Monsieur Mariano Gourdon tells Mariano that both the Hospital de Benasque and the French Luchon were founded by the innkeepers de San Juan, Order of Malta. The Order of Malta was a military order that was in charge of harbouring and helping pilgrims and travellers in the Holy Land. When they spread throughout Europe in the 12th century, they founded various hospital inns to help travellers crossing dangerous mountain passes and ports. Through Monsieur Gourdon, tour guides from Banares, de Luchon, from another valley on the French side, also arrive, including countrymen and foreigners. It was one of these restless guides who through his diary showed us the spirit of mountaineering. It is precisely in the late 19th century when men and women moved by an intense desire to conquer the peaks in the Pyrenees. They are the first Pyrenean mountaineers, and through them a new way to understand the mountains is born. After the Civil War, the Hospital Inn was abandoned and announced a complete ruin. But through the intervention of a group of enthusiasts, they converted it into a centre of hospitality worthy of its historical predecessors. The people running the hospital inns have changed, but the old stones of pilgrims, smugglers, shepherds and mountaineers are still told within its stone walls. You will find the Hospital de Benasque in the same place it has been during hundreds of years.